Okay, let's unpack this. You've asked us to deep dive into, well, the really fascinating strategic pivot happening in the Indian IT sector. Think about it, an industry known for decades as the backbone, the efficient engine room for global tech. Now, it's rapidly turning into its R&D lab, its innovation hub, and this isn't a small player we're talking about. It's valued at over, what, $282 billion, projected to hit $350 billion by 2026. That's a huge slice, like 10% of India's entire GDP.
Yeah, it's massive. And what's truly intriguing, I think, is watching this change, this metamorphosis from that traditional outsourcing model. It's moving towards being a genuine global innovation hub. We're seeing this driven by newer high-value areas, things like engineering R&D, and the rise of these global capability centers, or GCCs. And of course, AI and cloud computing are absolutely central to this.
Right. But it's not all smooth sailing, is it? This whole ambitious journey, it faces some pretty big hurdles. We're looking at a persistent talent gap, finding the right people. Then there are margin pressures, costs going up, and even geopolitical headwinds swirling around. So our mission today is really to understand how the sector is navigating all these forces, not just, surviving, but actually positioning itself for higher value, more sustainable growth. And this is where it gets really interesting. How do you fundamentally redefine your role on the world stage?
Exactly. The industry is making a fundamental shift. It's moving away from just reactive, cost-effective outsourcing. Now it's about proactive, strategic consulting, IP-led product development, the very deliberate climb up the value chain, getting away from simply competing on lower labor costs.
You can see this happening clearly with some homegrown SaaS companies, right? Like Zoho. They're really focusing hard on product-led growth, building those recurring revenue streams, which is quite different from the old model of just, labor arbitrage, basically competing on wages. They're building scalable, proprietary stuff now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this fundamentally changes the competitive landscape. I mean, the big four, TCS, Infosys, HCLTech, Wipro, they still dominate, obviously. But even they are adapting fast. They're developing their own proprietary platforms, like Infosys Topaz for AI, and they're offering more specialized, industry-specific cloud solutions too.
But beyond just those big traditional players, there's this other force that's really shaking things up. These global capability centers, the GCCs, these are total game changers, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely.
There are over 1,700 of them now, and they're not just back offices anymore. They're becoming real innovation hubs. Get this, more than 40% are actually leading their parent company's global AI initiatives from India.
It flips the script.
It really does. What makes them so transformative isn't just the sheer number, but how major global companies are essentially bringing their core innovation work to India. It kind of blurs the lines between client and vendor, creating this new dynamic. You called it co-opetition.
Yeah, co-opetition. It's this mix of collaboration and competition happening simultaneously. And this whole shift, it's being powered by these huge technology shifts, these tectonic shifts, particularly the AI imperative. India's AI market alone is projected to hit, $17 billion by 2027? That's huge growth. And you've got government support too, like the India AI Mission. That's a national program pushing AI innovation. Plus, the foundational India stack, which is this incredible digital public infrastructure simplifying everything.
Okay, but here's the catch. With any boom like this, a challenge starts to bubble up, right? This tech surge is creating a really critical talent chasm. Think about this stat. For every 10 open roles, especially in hot areas like generative AI, there's maybe only one suitably trained engineer available, 1 for 10.
Wow.
And for cloud professionals, the demand is expected to be 2.2 million by 2025, but the supply is maybe only 1.5 million. That's a big gap.
And that skill shortage, it's not just an HR headache. It directly leads to rising employee costs. Salaries go up, and that puts a real squeeze on margins across the board. Companies are fighting for talent, which impacts profitability and, frankly, can slow down the pace of innovation itself.
And layered on top of this, we can't ignore the geopolitical factors. The industry is still heavily reliant on the U.S. market. Over 60% of revenue comes from there. So you hear this recurring talk about potential tariffs on software exports, though many see that as maybe more political theater because it's complex to implement.
Right, it comes up often, but...
But more concrete is the tightening H-1B visa situation. It restricts skilled foreign workers going to the U.S. They're pushing for things like wage-based lotteries now, making it harder for Indian firms to deploy their people stateside.
But here's the counterintuitive part, maybe the most interesting bit of the story. These pressures, the talent crunch, the geopolitical uncertainty, paradoxically, they seem to be acting as a catalyst. They're actually pushing the sector faster towards that strategic pivot we talked about. It forces diversification away from just the U.S., and it forces a stronger focus on higher value, specialized services that are less easily replaced or restricted. It builds resilience.
So wrapping this up, what does it all mean for the future then? The outlook seems, cautiously optimistic. IT spending in India is projected to hit nearly $160 billion in 2025. And the big goal for the digital economy is $1 trillion.
That's the ambition. But to get there, the sector absolutely has to double down on R&D and building its own intellectual property. That's key. And it must proactively tackle that skills gap. Serious collaboration between companies and universities is needed, plus continuing to diversify globally, reducing that over-reliance on the U.S. market.
Which really leaves us and you listening with a fascinating question, doesn't it?
It does. How does an industry facing such significant external pressures, economic, political, skills gaps actually use those very challenges? How does it leverage them to accelerate its own transformation into something more innovative, more valuable, and ultimately more sustainable? It's a really compelling lesson in adaptability, I think. Something any industry could learn from.
If you like the content, please subscribe to my channel Finance Eco India and share this video